I answered her phone. She was in the shower. The phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Face down. That's weird. She never leaves it unattended anymore. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. It just rang. No contact name. Just a number. I picked it up, and I wish to God I hadn't. Hello? You miss me already, babe? That voice, male, confident, relaxed. Like this was routine. Like this call was just an extension of last night. He was smiling. You could hear it. I didn't say a word. Just hung up. My hands were shaking. I just stood there, staring at the phone like it had morphed into a weapon. She walked into the kitchen 5 minutes later, still damp from the shower. Towel around her head. Phone still on the counter. She didn't notice anything. Everything okay? You had a call, I said. Unknown number. She looked at the phone. Blinked. Spam, probably. Smiled. Too casually. Walked off. And I just stood there, stomach turning. Everything felt wrong. Off. Like the world tilted 10 degrees left. I didn't say anything that night. I needed to be sure. But I knew. Somewhere inside, I already knew. The next few days were a blur. I went to work. I answered emails. I smiled at coworkers and nodded in meetings. But I wasn't there. Not really. I watched her. Closely. Her habits. Her face when she texted. The way she turned her phone away from me when I walked into the room. She was different. She laughed less with me. Laughed more when she was on her phone. She hugged me with one arm now. Quick. Mechanical. I wondered how long it had been that way. How long I'd been pretending it was normal. I started staying up later than her. Pretending to watch Netflix. Pretending to scroll my phone. Really, I was listening. Listening to her breathing shift into the rhythm of sleep. That's when I made my move. 2:17 a.m. She rolled over. I got up. Her phone was on the nightstand. I picked it up. Screen still open from when she set her alarm. No lock. No Face ID needed. Just open. She hadn't closed Signal. That's where I saw him. The name. The thread. Eric. Not E. Not a fake name. Not work. Just Eric. Clean. Bold. I tapped it. Can still feel your nails on my back. Wish I could wake up next to you. Same hotel Friday? Room 409. You looked so hot in that dress tonight. You drove me insane. Photos. Selfies. Her in outfits she never wore around me. One of her biting her lip in a mirror. One from a hotel bed. Smiling at the camera. Nothing graphic, but enough. Enough to feel like someone shoved a knife through my ribs. Voice messages too. I played one. God, I miss you. Your voice. Your skin. The way you make me feel like I'm not invisible. Like I matter. 4 months of this. At least. I scrolled and scrolled. Dinners. Hotels. Inside jokes. Complaints about work. Complaints about me. He's sweet, but he doesn't see me. Not like you do. She gave him everything. Her time. Her body. Her vulnerability. I was the ghost in the house. I sat down on the floor. My back against the nightstand. Her phone still in my hands. I felt hollow. Like something inside me cracked and didn't know how to close. She stirred in bed. Rolled over. Didn't wake up. I looked at her face in the dark and realized I didn't know this woman. Not anymore. The hardest part? I still love her. And I don't know what I'm going to do in the morning. I barely slept. Maybe 30 minutes, tops. My brain wouldn't stop replaying that thread. Her words. His voice. The pictures. I heard her alarm go off just after 6:30 a.m. She stretched. Yawned. Rolled out of bed like it was just another Thursday. I was already sitting on the edge of the mattress, phone in my hand. Hey, she said, rubbing her eyes. You okay? I turned to her. Held up the phone. The open message thread. You want to explain this? Her face didn't change. Not right away. There was a flicker of something, recognition? Shame? Annoyance? But it vanished fast. Like she'd rehearsed this. You went through my phone, she asked. That's what she led with. Not, I can explain. Not, I'm sorry. Not even denial. Just indignation. Are you serious right now? I said. For months, maybe more, and that's what you open with? She sighed. Actually sighed, like I'd asked her to do the dishes. Look, she said. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It just happened. I stared at her, waiting for something real. Anything. But she kept talking like she was reading from a script. I felt alone. You've been distant. Always tired. I needed to feel wanted again. That part broke me a little. Because maybe she was right. I had been tired. Work had been brutal. I hadn't been as present. But cheating? That's the solution? You could have talked to me, I said. You could have told me you were unhappy. Would you have heard me? She snapped. Or just nodded while checking your emails? That hit harder than I wanted it to. But it didn't justify what she did. The hotels. The lies. The way she looked at him in those photos. Like he was her whole world. Do you love him? I asked. Silence. I don't know, she said. Maybe. I didn't plan it. Maybe. That word stuck in my throat like glass. She sat on the edge of the bed, a few feet away from me. We were in the same room, but it felt like different planets. I thought I could handle it, she said. I thought I could keep both lives separate. Do you hear yourself? I asked. You're not talking about a mistake. You're talking about a system. She didn't argue. Are you still seeing him? Another pause. Then, yes. That was the first moment I actually felt anger burn through the numbness. White hot. Blinding. Then go, I said. Go be with him. If he's who you want, don't waste another second lying to me. You don't mean that. I don't know what I mean anymore. She left the room. Didn't take her phone. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. I sat there for hours. Then I did something I thought I'd never do. I called him. His number was in the thread. He picked up on the second ring. Hello. Eric? It's her husband. Silence. Listen, he started. No, I said. You don't get to talk. You've already said more than enough. Then I hung up. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I want to fix this or burn it all down. But I know one thing. She chose him. And I finally chose myself. I wasn't planning to find anything else. I really wasn't. I told myself I had enough. The texts, the photos, her admission. What else was there to know? But the thing about betrayal is, it doesn't come with closure. It leaves doors open. Rooms you didn't know existed. And once you've walked through the first one, it's almost impossible not to open another. So I did. And what I found changed everything. It started with her laptop. She left for a few hours that weekend. Said she needed space. I was still in the house. Still trying to figure out how I'd even start untangling the mess. And then I saw her laptop on the desk. Logged in. I wish I could say I hesitated. I didn't. I went straight to her email. That's when I found out who Eric really was. He wasn't just some random guy from work. He wasn't a client. He was my friend. Well, not friend. More like a guy I used to know. We went to college together. Lived in the same dorm. Took a bunch of the same electives. Lost touch after graduation. But I remembered him. Apparently, she'd reconnected with him on LinkedIn. They got coffee. Then lunch. Then hotel rooms. I kept scrolling. There were emails between them too. Not just messages. Emails. Full conversations. Planning weekends. Talking about me like I was a bad roommate instead of her husband. And that's not all. There was a draft. Never sent. It was an email she wrote to him. Titled, I think I have to tell him. I opened it. I don't know how much longer I can do this. He's not stupid. He looks at me like he knows. I can't keep pretending like everything's fine. Maybe it would be easier if he just found out. That email was dated a month ago, so she knew this day was coming. She just didn't have the courage to pull the trigger. I sat there staring at the screen. For a long time. You know what that email did? It didn't make me feel better. It didn't feel like regret. It felt like strategy. Like she was waiting for me to find out, so she wouldn't have to be the one to say it. It felt like cowardice. Dressed up as guilt. And Eric? He knew she was married. He knew she was my wife. I found a photo of the three of us from years ago. College bar. Me and him with beers, her on my lap. Smiling. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's when I knew this wasn't just about cheating. This was about disrespect. Deliberate. Calculated. Personal. I texted her. Come home. Now. She replied an hour later. I need more time. I didn't answer. Because the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. I don't want someone who needs space to decide if I'm worth keeping. I want someone who fights to stay. She came back Sunday afternoon. Same clothes. No bags. No makeup. No apology. I heard the door open and close. I didn't go to meet her. I just sat at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee and waited. She walked in like she still lived here. Technically, she did. But emotionally, she'd moved out months ago. Can we talk? She said. I didn't say anything. Just gestured at the chair across from me. She sat down. Exhaled. Looked tired. But not sorry. I've been thinking, she started. And I knew. Right there. That I wasn't going to hear an apology. I was going to hear a pitch. I know what I did was wrong. I know I hurt you. But I also know what we've built. 9 years, that's not nothing. 9 years. That's what she opened with. Time served. Like our relationship was a sentence, not a story. So what are you saying? I asked. I'm saying maybe we don't burn it all down right away. Maybe we try therapy. Separation. Take space. See where we land. Not once did she say she ended things with Eric. Not once did she ask me how I felt. Are you still seeing him? She hesitated. That damn hesitation again. I don't know. You don't know. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. She looked down, picked at her thumbnail. Then, I care about you. I always have. But I care about him too. I'm not ready to decide. There it was. She wasn't here to rebuild. She was here to bargain, to buy time, to keep her options open. So I'm just supposed to be okay with that? No. But maybe you could understand it. Try to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture. That was the moment it clicked. She didn't see me as a person. She saw me as a placeholder. A safety net. A soft landing if the other life didn't work out. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She wasn't even angry. She was calm. Strategic. Like this was a negotiation about a contract, not a marriage. I leaned back in the chair. Let the silence hang for a minute. So what happens if I say no? She shrugged. Actually shrugged. Then, I guess we figure that out. You mean, you wait to see which one of us breaks first? That's not fair. None of this is fair. She stayed for an hour. Talked about logistics. Schedules. Bills. The dog. I didn't engage. I just watched her. I tried to see the woman I married in her face. But she was gone. Replaced by someone who weighed love in spreadsheets. Before she left, she stood in the doorway. I'm not the villain you think I am. You're not a villain. You're just not who I thought you were. She didn't reply. Just nodded. Then left. I sat there long after the door closed. Still as stone. My coffee long since cold. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was done. And for the first time since this started, that felt like peace. But peace is a fragile thing. And it didn't last long. Because the next morning, I woke up to her key still on the hook. That might not sound like much. But we only have 2 copies. And she never leaves without it. She always brings her keys. Always. Which means, she left it on purpose. I pulled it off the hook and just stared at it. Spun it in my fingers. Was it a gesture? A message? An opening? Or just another game? I started packing that afternoon. Not everything, not yet. But the essentials. A few clothes. My documents. My journals. The photo album we made during our first year together. I don't know why, but that one hurt most. Her handwriting on the captions. Her goofy smile in every picture. I threw it in the bag anyway. I started with the dresser drawer. Then the nightstand. That's where I found it. A notebook. Black leather cover. Tucked away in the back. I didn't recognize it. I opened it. It wasn't a diary. It was a planning book. Each page was a schedule. Days. Times. Locations. Meetings. And then I saw the code. Y equals yoga. N equals networking dinner. S equals sister's place. Every one of those was circled, highlighted, tagged, and beside them, B. Dozens of entries. 3 months of her calendar. All the nights she was out late. All the weekends she had self-care time. They were all marked, tracked, recorded, deliberate, planned. She didn't stumble into an affair. She built it. Page after page of coded deception. This wasn't weakness. It was effort. I sat on the floor with that book in my hands for an hour. I don't even remember breathing. It's one thing to be betrayed. It's another thing to realize it took organization. To know that while I was folding laundry, she was syncing schedules. While I was planning dinner, she was penciling in hotel room meetups. I wasn't living in ignorance. I was living in her system. And suddenly, I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt insulted. Used. Disrespected on a level that words don't cover. She texted that night. Let me know when you're ready to talk. I'm staying with a friend. I want to work through this, but I need you to meet me halfway. Halfway. What does halfway even mean when she's already gone all the way with someone else? I thought the black notebook was the worst of it. I was wrong. The next morning, I was still packing. I moved from the bedroom to the hallway closet, tossing things into boxes without much thought. Sweaters, scarves, random junk we hadn't touched in years. And then I saw it. A small cardboard box. Taped shut. My name on it. Just Matt. No explanation. No label. Just my name. I took it out, set it on the floor, and opened it. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Printed. Old school. Some I remembered. Some I didn't. Some I'd never seen before. But they were all of us. Vacations. Dinners. Road trips. Christmas mornings. Notes she'd written to me. Old anniversary cards. A postcard from our first trip to Seattle. A little restaurant receipt with her handwriting on the back. Best night ever. There was a napkin from our wedding night, folded around a wine cork. I had no idea she'd kept that. I froze. My breath stuck somewhere between a gasp and a sob. For a moment, I didn't feel betrayed. I felt grieved. Like something had died. Like we had died. And then I saw what was underneath. Another envelope. Labeled, "Open if you leave." I didn't even hesitate. I tore it open. Inside was a letter. Matt, if you're reading this, you're probably gone. Or close. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't help. I know it might even make it worse. I don't expect forgiveness. I wouldn't forgive me either. I made choices that hurt you deeply. I still love you. That's the truth. But I lost sight of it. I confused attention for meaning. I let someone else in when I should have fought for us. You were my safe place. And I broke it. If there's anything left between us, I hope it's the memory of what we had. The real version. Before I ruined it. I'll be here. That's all I can say. I read it twice. Not because I believed her, but because I didn't know how to feel. It felt like she wrote it to soften the exit. Like she wanted to manage my pain, not own her damage. She said she loved me, but she also lied. Planned. Deceived. She kept a box of memories, but lived a double life. What do you do with that kind of contradiction? I sat on the floor, surrounded by pieces of a love story that only one of us had apparently still been living. And for the first time in this whole nightmare, I cried. Not angry tears. Not panic. Just grief. 9 years. Gone. In a box. I didn't respond to her text. I couldn't. She didn't need a reply. She needed consequences. So I kept packing. And I made a decision. I was leaving. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally started loving myself again. Moving out felt like amputation. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just slow, dull, necessary. I left the keys on the counter. One bag of clothes. One duffel of essentials. One photo album I couldn't bring myself to throw away. No final argument. No dramatic goodbye. She wasn't even there. She texted that she'd be staying at a friend's house for the weekend. I didn't ask who. I already knew. I moved into a friend's spare room. Old coworker. Single dad. Quiet house with a leaky faucet and a freezer full of frozen pizza. It felt like a waiting room for a life I hadn't figured out yet. And for the first time in 9 years, I was alone. Like truly, fully alone. And it was awful. And it was freeing. That first night, I didn't sleep. I just laid on the unfamiliar bed with the unfamiliar ceiling fan making the same tired loop and tried to pretend this was just temporary. But the thing about endings? They don't care what you're ready for. Eric messaged me the next morning. Not a call. Not even a text. He sent me a message on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Like this was a job interview and not the fallout of him sleeping with my wife. The message was short. Hey, I don't want to make things worse. But if you're open to it, I think we should talk. There are things I need to say. Things you probably don't know. I stared at it for 10 straight minutes. Every fiber in my body wanted to delete it. But I didn't. I wrote back one word. Talk. He replied almost instantly. Gave me a time and offered a video call. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to know everything. The call was at 5 p.m. He looked the same. Older, sure. A little more hair on his chin. But still the same guy I vaguely remembered from college. Confident, smooth, always looked like he was seconds away from delivering a TED Talk on personal growth. I didn't speak first. He did. Thanks for agreeing to this, he said. I waited. Look, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I get that. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to be honest. I stayed silent. Let him dig his own hole. I didn't know she was married when we first reconnected. She didn't tell me. Not for a while. I found out after we'd already gotten close. That caught me off guard. And you just kept going? I asked. He nodded. Slowly. At first, I tried to pull back. I told her it felt wrong. But she kept saying things were already over between you two. That you were distant. That you didn't care. And I believed her. That stung. Because parts of it weren't lies. I had been distant. But I hadn't stopped caring. I'd just gotten buried in life. In work. In stress. She made me feel like I was rescuing her, he said. Rescuing. That word made me want to laugh and punch the screen at the same time. Do you love her? I asked. He looked down. I did. Maybe I still do. But I don't think she ever really loved me. Now that was a surprise. Why do you say that? Because she lies to everyone. Not just you. Not just me. I found out she was seeing someone else too. Some guy from her gym. I blinked. You're joking. I wish I was. I confronted her about it. She denied it, obviously. But the signs were there. Canceled plans. Secretive texts. The same stuff she did to you. I sat back in my chair. The room felt smaller. So you're telling me, you were the affair. And you got cheated on too? Yeah. He let it hang there. And honestly, I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. Why tell me all this? I asked. Because I think you deserve to know the full picture. And because I needed to hear it out loud. I needed to admit it to someone who actually mattered. I closed my eyes for a second. The weight of it all pressing down like wet concrete. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd lied to everyone. She didn't want love. She wanted attention. And she didn't care who bled for it. After the call ended, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at nothing, finally understanding that this wasn't about Eric. It wasn't even about me. It was about her. And whatever hole she was trying to fill, it was bottomless. It had been 6 days since the call with Eric. 6 long, empty, echoing days. The kind of days that aren't really days at all, they're placeholders. Time without shape. I'd wake up on my friend's lumpy pull-out couch, make coffee I wouldn't drink, scroll through job posts I didn't care about, and walk around the block just to convince myself I still existed. I didn't hear from her. Not a word. No apology. No, I'm sorry. No, let's talk. Nothing. For the first time in 9 years, I was invisible to the one person who used to see me better than anyone. I'd started telling people. Not many, just my brother, a close friend, my mom. All of them had the same reaction. Shock, silence, then rage. And still, some small, broken part of me kept waiting for her to show up. She didn't. Until she did. It was a Thursday. Early evening. I'd just gotten back from a walk, headphones in, brain off. When I turned the corner toward the house, I saw her car in the driveway. My heart dropped. She was sitting on the hood, arms crossed, like some twisted callback to her college days. She used to wait for me like that after class. Back then, it meant something sweet. Now it felt like a threat. She stood when she saw me. Hey, she said. I didn't answer. Can we talk? I hesitated. My legs moved without permission. I didn't invite her in. Just leaned against the porch railing and waited. What do you want? I asked. I want to explain. I laughed. Short. Empty. You've had weeks to do that. I wasn't ready. And now you are? She nodded. I waited. She didn't speak. Then explain, I said. She looked down at her hands, picked at her nails like she used to do when she was nervous. It annoyed me that I still remembered something so small, that my body still reacted to her tics. I messed up, she said finally. I know that. Which part? Lying? Cheating? Doing it again? Or again after that? All of it. I kept staring. I was lost. I scoffed. You found 3 different men to keep you company while you figured that out. She flinched. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. I know. Silence. She stepped closer. I didn't move. I'm not asking you to take me back, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Then why are you here? Because I need something from you. Something in her voice changed. It went colder. Like we were negotiating a contract, not unpacking a marriage. What could you possibly need from me? She looked up at me. Eyes tired. Voice flat. I want to keep the house. I blinked. Excuse me. You moved out. I've been staying with friends. It's not stable. I need the house. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You think you deserve the house? It's not about deserving it. I just need it more than you do. I actually laughed. A bitter, stunned laugh. So let me get this straight. You cheated on me, repeatedly, and now you're asking me to give you the one thing we built together. I'm not asking for it for free. We can split the equity. I just want to stay in it. And you want me to move on while you live in the home where you lied to me? Slept with other men? I won't bring anyone there. I swear. I shook my head. You already did. That landed. Her eyes welled up for the first time. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. She didn't apologize. Not really. Not once. She just stood there, asking me to hand her the wreckage of our life like it was a formality. Like she was owed comfort after blowing everything up. I was stunned at how calm I was. I thought I'd scream, cry, shatter. But instead, I felt like glass, clear, cold, already broken. Let me ask you something, I said. Would you be here right now if Eric hadn't ended things? If the guy from the gym hadn't ghosted you? She didn't answer. Would you have come home? Or was this just your backup plan? She looked at the ground. I didn't come to fight. Then why come at all? More silence. You know what hurts the most? I said. It's not the cheating. It's not even the lies. It's that after everything, you came back not to make things right, but to ask for more. She didn't stay long after that. She said she'd have her lawyer contact me, that she hoped we could keep it amicable. I told her to leave the keys on the porch. When she got in her car and drove away, I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel victory. I felt hollow. She'd emptied me out, and I'd let her. That night, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall. I thought about all the memories tied to that house. The late-night movie marathons. The burn mark on the counter from her first attempt at creme brulee. The little notches we made in the closet door frame to mark how high her nephew had grown. She wanted all of that. To keep it. To live in the story without the consequences. I called my lawyer the next morning. Told him I wanted my share. Told him I wasn't going to be the villain in her revisionist history. He agreed. Let her rewrite the past, he said. We'll make sure the future is clean. Later that week, I got a letter in the mail. Not from her. From Eric. Just a few lines, handwritten. She reached out to me again. I didn't answer. I thought you should know. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it up and threw it in the fire pit out back. Some endings don't need closure. Just silence. It was a Tuesday when her sister called me. We hadn't spoken since the fallout. Not since the truth broke everything wide open. I didn't expect to ever hear from her again, let alone answer the call. But when I saw her name flash across my screen, something made me pick up. Hi, she said, voice low. Hi, I said back. There was a pause. That kind of pause where you know someone has rehearsed what they're about to say but still doesn't know how to begin. Can we talk? She asked. Is something wrong? No. Well, yes. Not wrong, exactly. I think you deserve to know a few things. And I'm sorry it took me this long to say it. I stepped outside. Sat on the back steps. The air felt sharp, like it was trying to wake me up. I don't know if you want to hear about her, she said. That depends, I said. I think you need to hear it anyway. She started by saying she was sorry. Not just sorry for what her sister did, but sorry for not warning me. Not checking in. Not reaching out when everything fell apart. She said it felt like she betrayed me by staying quiet. I knew about Eric, she said. You what? Not everything. But I knew she was seeing someone. She told me it was complicated. She said you two were basically separated, just living together for convenience. I felt sick. The kind of sick that starts at the base of your spine and rises like static. Why didn't you say anything? Because I believed her. Because I thought maybe it was true. And because, honestly, I've seen her do this before. That stopped me. What do you mean, do this? Matt, this isn't new. You weren't the first. She told me stories. Not just about the cheating, though there was more than I ever imagined, but about the patterns. The games. The lies. She said when her sister was younger, she had this way of pulling people in and then pushing them out just to see if they'd crawl back. She would date guys, tell them she was broken, get their sympathy, then cheat on them to test if they really cared. It was like a script. She needs to be needed, her sister said. But the moment someone gets too close, she panics. She self-sabotages. It's always been that way. And I was just another mark? No. I think you were the one who scared her the most. Because you actually loved her. That stung worse than anything I'd heard so far. Did she ever talk about me? After it happened? She did. She said she ruined everything. That you didn't deserve it. But even then, she never really owned it. It was always through this filter of, I didn't mean to. I just broke. I didn't speak for a long time. I just listened. Let it settle. The pieces clicking into place. The anxiety. The chaos. The way she would pull away after good days, like she couldn't trust being happy for too long. The way she needed attention, not affection, and the way she fed off chaos like it was oxygen. I wasn't her husband. I was her stability. And that scared her. Her sister paused. I know this doesn't fix anything, she said. No, it doesn't. But maybe it helps you understand that it wasn't you. You didn't cause this. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. She has this darkness, her sister said quietly. And no one, not you, not Eric, not the guy before him, has ever been able to fix it. We ended the call gently. No bitterness. Just the weight of understanding. And after it ended, I sat there for over an hour. Thinking. Remembering. Rebuilding. That night, I went through our old photo album, the one I almost didn't take with me when I left. It was full of smiles. Concerts. Road trips. Lazy Sunday mornings. All of it captured in still frames, locked away from what came after. And for a second, I almost forgot the pain. Almost. Until I turned the page and saw a picture of us at the beach. I was holding her. She was laughing into my shoulder. It looked perfect. But now, all I could think about was that the real her? Or just the version she wanted me to love? I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just closed the album, walked outside, and sat in the quiet. Because here's the thing they don't tell you about betrayal. It doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your memory. It makes you question what was real and what was just strategy. The next morning, I made a decision. I pulled the last of my things from the house. Left a note for the lawyer. Told him I'd settle, cleanly, and walk away with what was fair. No revenge. No dragging it out. Just closure. Because I realized something important. I didn't need to win. I just needed to stop bleeding. I wasn't supposed to see her again. After everything, the affairs, the lies, the house, the silence, I had convinced myself that the door was closed. I had sealed it, nailed it shut, moved on. Or at least tried to. But closure is a funny thing. It's not something you get from other people. It's something you make yourself, unless life has other plans. It happened at a grocery store. I was just grabbing eggs and bread. Mundane, normal things. Things people buy when their lives are quiet. I was in the self-checkout lane when I heard someone laugh behind me. Her laugh. I didn't even turn around. My body reacted before my brain did, that cold, hollow feeling in the gut. The one you get when you realize danger doesn't always wear warning colors. Sometimes it laughs like home. I turned. Slowly. And there she was. A few aisles down. Standing with a man. Not Eric. Not the gym guy. Someone else. Younger. Sharper. His hand was on the small of her back, like he'd claimed her. She looked exactly the same. Hair tied up in that messy bun she used to wear on Sundays. Big sweater. No makeup. Natural. Effortless. The version of her I used to think was mine alone. And then she saw me. Her smile faded. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. The guy next to her didn't notice. He kept talking. Kept touching her like he owned a future that used to belong to me. We held eye contact for maybe 3 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. Then I looked away, scanned my items, paid, left. I didn't run. I didn't shout. I didn't approach her. I just walked to my car like my legs were carrying someone else's body. I sat behind the wheel for a long time. Didn't start the car. Didn't cry. Just stared out the windshield at nothing, letting the moment soak into my bones. She'd moved on. Not in theory. Not in memory. In reality. New man. New smile. New lie. And I wasn't sad. I was angry. Not at her. At myself. Forever thinking she was mine to lose. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her face. That flicker of recognition. That flash of guilt? Or was it pity? Or something worse? Indifference? It wasn't grief. It wasn't, I miss you. It was, I remember you. Like I was a chapter she'd already closed, and now only skimmed past when she needed to feel something. And that's what gutted me. Because I was still bleeding over pages she'd already set on fire. 2 days later, I got a message. Not from her. From her mom. We'd always gotten along better than she and her daughter, honestly. Her mom was quiet, warm, thoughtful. The kind of person who listened more than she spoke. We hadn't talked since the split, but I guess she'd heard I'd seen her daughter again. Hi. I heard you ran into her. Just wanted you to know. You did everything you could. I saw it. We all saw it. What she's doing now, it's not your fault. It never was. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed one sentence. Do you think she ever loved me? It took almost an hour for her to reply. Yes, but not the way you deserved. The next day, I packed up the last of the boxes from my temporary room. My friend had been patient more than I deserved, but it was time to move on. I'd signed a lease on a new apartment. Nothing fancy. Small. Clean. Quiet. It had no history. No echoes. No memories embedded in the paint. Just walls. And space. And peace. I set the last box down by the window, looked out at the city, and realized something I hadn't dared admit before. I had loved a version of her that never really existed. I had loved who she was with me, not who she was on her own. And maybe that's the most dangerous kind of love, the one where you build someone out of pieces they only show you, and never notice what's missing. I still have the photo album. I don't open it much. But I don't burn it, either. Because that part of my life, the good, the bad, the wreckage, it happened. It was real. It shaped me. And pretending it didn't? That's not healing. That's hiding. I'm not hiding anymore. It's been a year. 12 months since everything broke. Since the betrayal. Since the silence. Since I packed my life into the back of my car and left the home I thought I'd grow old in. I don't think about her every day anymore. And that, more than anything, is progress. I don't wake up with that hollow feeling in my chest. I don't scan rooms hoping not to see her. I don't try to figure out why anymore. I just live. I lost a lot this past year. But I found more. I found myself. I started writing, at first for me, then for others. My story turned out not to be unique. People reached out. Strangers thanked me. Said they saw themselves in my words. Some cried. Some healed. So did I. I didn't write for revenge. I wrote for peace. And peace came. I moved to a new city. Small place. Bright windows. Quiet nights. Clean floors. No history. These walls don't remember her. And I'm learning not to either. I saw her once. A bookstore. Completely by chance. She stood in the back, just watching. No makeup. Soft clothes. Still familiar. Still not mine. Our eyes met. I felt nothing. Not hate. Not longing. Just nothing. She didn't come up to speak. I didn't wave. She was a ghost in daylight. And I had no need to chase shadows. I left that bookstore and didn't look back. Because this time, I wasn't the one standing still. Here's what I've come to understand. She didn't destroy me. She just showed me who I was without her. I used to think I loved her unconditionally. But what I really loved was the idea of her. The version I built in my head. The version that never truly existed. No? I love the truth. The silence. The freedom. I love who I am, not despite the pain, but because of what it made me face. I still keep one photo of us. Not because I want her back, but because that part of my life mattered. It shaped me. And pretending it didn't would be a lie. But I don't miss her. I don't wish things had gone differently. I'm glad it happened. Because now, I see clearly. She was the storm. But storms pass. And I'm still here.